In this video, we'll show you how to build an expanding banner ad using the HTML5 ad builder. You can start from a blank ad or use one of the predefined templates. For this example, we'll go for a blank ad. First, we'll give it a name. Next, we'll select a format. You can choose from two expandable formats. Most of the time, we recommend using the expandable format. But if you have an expanding and collapsing animations that use the same assets, you can use the single expandable banner format. It will be a bit more complicated to use, however, because you will have both the expanded and collapsed states in the same panel. But the option is there if you need it. Select the dimensions for the ad. You can choose one of the predefined sizes, or you can set your own using the custom option. For this demo, we'll be using the 300 by 250 medium rectangle and the expanded panel as a 500 by 250. Now click on the Create button. This will bring you to the Ad Builder interface. Here you'll find your blank stage or ad in the center. On the top you will see the name of the ad and the type. It also shows the size of the ad. Across the top you'll see buttons to start new again, open an existing ad, upload button for uploading the ad to our platform, preview, and the asset library. On the left you will find components which you can add to the ad. There's options for image, text, hotspot, HTML, buttons, shapes, image galleries, videos, and other social media. Underneath there is a layers menu where lists out all the components and allows you to reorder elements in the creative. On the right there's the properties menu which has a name, size of the ad, color of the stage, a place to upload the backup image, and a field for the click-through URL. Underneath that is the actions panel. This panel allows you to add actions and animations to the components on the stage. It also shows the timeline for all the actions underneath. For this demo we'll be building a simple expandable ad for our car company. The first thing we will do is add in an image for the background. To do that, I'll use the image component. To add the component, all you need to do is click on the component. Here the image component has been placed onto the stage. If I double click the component, two icons will show up. The first one brings up the asset library while the second lets me upload an image directly from my computer. For this one, I'll load the background from my computer. Because I'll be using it as a background, I'll need to adjust the properties and size of the image. Firstly, I want to change the name to something more relevant. Here I'll put in background. I can set the size using the values here in the properties menu, and I can also set the position. The ad builder has already detected the image size to be the same as the ad, so I don't need to change this. But let's move the image so it covers the stage. I'll adjust the X and Y coordinates to 0. Other things I can do here is set the opacity of the image. This will be useful for adjusting the transparency of images. I can also select a different image if I want to change the one currently there. There's also another option here called Smart Item, which is used for dynamic creatives. You can take our DCO training if you'd like more detail on this. Next, I'll want to put in some text for the heading, so let's use the car model here. Click on the text component. Now I have a text box created that I can put my heading in. I can adjust its position, but I can also change the font, adjust its height and color, and put some styling to the text. There's also a way to adjust the line height as well. If I wanted to use a custom font from either my computer or from services such as Google Web Fonts, I can do this here. Let's put in Mazda CX and make the font color white. First I'll give it a proper heading name and put in my text. Now I can change the font color since it's a black background. I'll also adjust the size of the font to make it a bit bigger, and I'll adjust the line height so that you can see all the text. Now I want to add in my car image, so I'll add another image component. Select the file like before. This time I'll use assets which I've already uploaded onto the platform. Now I resize and position this, again changing the name. Note that if you adjust the size of the image using the drag pointers, the image will pixelate as it would in most tools. Best practice is to ensure the dimensions of the images match the size that you want. If you need to adjust layers, you can do this by moving the layers around. The order goes from top to bottom where the top is the closest to you. Next I'll add in another text field so I can tell the viewer that they can expand the ad. Now I can preview the ad and make sure it looks fine. Looking good, but the ad doesn't do anything yet. The next thing we should do is make our expanded panel. Firstly, I'll close this window. Before I switch to expanded panel, I want to make sure that there is a click-through URL entered for the creative. So let's add in a click-through URL into the properties of the stage. We want to be sure that it is the full URL path, so we may need to include the HTTP in front. Now I'll switch to expanded panel. I can switch to expanded panel by clicking on the menu on the top left and switching between the panels here. Now I have my expanded panel on the stage. In the properties, I can adjust its name. I can also adjust the way it expands by being able to change the positioning and its reference point. Now I'll go ahead and make the rest of the banner. I'll place a video and my click-through button. There's two options here I can use for the click-through. I can make it a button, which I can do by adding the button component here. You'll see a button placed in the middle. I can customize this button by changing the text and font, but also what it looks like in different states. Now for a lot of ads, we want the whole ad to be clickable, so we can do that using a hotspot. I'll get rid of the button and add a hotspot. Here I'll adjust the size to match the size of the ad and adjust its position so it's over the top of it. With so many components on the stage, I'll need to adjust the naming of all of them. Another important thing we want is for the hotspot layer to be at the top, otherwise we'll have other components covering the hotspot. I can see that it is already added to the top. For this example, however, I also want my user to be able to interact with the video, so I actually put the video on top of the hotspot. Cool, now we want to define the action for the hotspot. We can do this in the Actions and Animations panel. We can assign actions for any component on the stage, which in this case is a hotspot. Heart the component. Click on Create New Event. You see that an event has been created for us. Click on the event drop-down and we can assign an action to a number of events. You can have actions that happen on add load, tap click, double click, mouse events. For this example, I'll select tap click. Next, I'll need to select the action I want for this hotspot. There are a number of actions available to choose from. You can select click-through, which uses the URL defined in the platform, custom click-through, which lets you select the URL here, custom interactions, which trigger any custom user tracking, expandable actions, mobile actions such as calling a number, SMS and email, running custom JavaScript, and video actions for a video player and animations. I'll select click-through for this one. Now that I've got the banner done, I want to make the banner expand and collapse. To do that, I will add a hotspot on the collapse panel. I'll make an action. I'll set the action to expand. I'll also set the target, of which panel I want it to expand to. Now I want the expanded panel to be able to collapse. I will do that using a close button. I'll add in some text and a hotspot that will allow the user to close the expanded panel. Add in a click event and action as collapse. Now back into the preview to test this. Here you can see the collapsed state of my banner. Now I'll click on the banner to expand it. The action has worked, and now you can see my expanded panel. Now I want to check that the close button works too. And it does. Next I want to check that I can click through to a page. Now we've pretty much made a very simple expandable ad, we can proceed to upload it by pressing the upload button. Before I can upload, however, I must make sure that I have set a default or backup image. The default image is shown when the browser doesn't support JavaScript, and for HTML5 creatives, use to define the ad size, so please make sure the dimensions match the size of the ad. For expandable banners, that would be the collapse size. So this is highly important as you need the size of the creative to match the placement and vice versa, otherwise we won't be able to attach it for trafficking. Now that our backup image is set, we can proceed to upload. Here I can continue and go into the ad setup. You'll find that all the settings have been carried over and saved for you. I can preview the creative again using my preview window if I want. That ends this tutorial on creating a expandable banner using the HTML5 ad builder.